Okay, so yeah, we're recording now. We'll go ahead and get this up on the website later, along with the minutes. But the situation at hand here, because I know Kari wasn't in the group chat yet, is yesterday we had a number of members come to one of our officers and say that they were having issues with our fobs, or with their fobs, and April had spoken to the leasing office and figured out that the reason for that is that they had started an audit and were turning off people's fobs for whatever reason, but had not announced that. And if I remember correctly, it seems like April, they told you that they were doing that because they or excuse me, that they would have an announcement on Monday. I spoke to him today and had a very strange conversation. He didn't seem very willing to talk, and he had said the leasing officer was wrong. There will be no announcement. There was not one yesterday. There wasn't going to be one today. And they would not be announcing that this audit was happening. They would simply be removing the permissions to enter and exit the garage. Um, which it seems like they have a pretty consistent problem with those communications. So I want to make sure we get a follow-up email to April's yesterday, make sure that the membership knows what's happening, and then figure out how we want to move forward here. I can give a little bit more details on the conversation that I had with him today. April, if you could give some details on your conversation with them yesterday, we can try and figure out what's going on and what we want to do about it.
Okay.
Um,
You, do
April,
you want me to, you want me
yeah,
to start?
I want to start with just, your conversation with them yesterday.
So actually, I was trying to find out, the issue. So I went downstairs and spoke with Dontrell, and I know in the past I've had issues with the garage key. But okay, I'm jumping. So let me start the conversation. So I asked him, inquire about, hey, what is the workaround for tenants that their key fob is not working? And his response is right now they're doing audits, and just get the key, just get a punch in the one of those to get access, is just get a ticket, is what he's saying. And then bring it up to Dom Monday morning. That was the response he provided to me. And then that was mostly it. He said he doesn't know much, and just referred to the to the community manager. So based
Yeah.
on that, I try to ask him other questions. He doesn't know much. So all he said is get a ticket, give it to Dom, he'll take care of it. Now, speaking in the past where I've had an issue with the key fob, and this was just, I would say, a month and a half ago, where I did have an issue with my key fob. I went to Dom, and then within the next day, he got it fixed. So I don't know, what he did. He said he probably was going to refer to the garage attendant, whatever they're doing, they fixed it. I didn't have any problem. But as I have asked Charles, there's different issues I've had in the past. So I can tell you what I have found out myself, how the garage fob key work.
Yeah, thank you for that. So based on that information, we sent out an initial email yesterday just to have some communication, let the membership know as much as we know. And hopefully from this conversation, we'll go ahead and get an update out. We can go ahead and send that follow-up email with just the conversation that I had with him today and a little bit more information. And then hopefully we can get some further information because I was quite confused after my follow-up conversation. As April mentioned, they said we should talk to Dom on Monday. But when I tried to do so, I said, "Can I talk to you?" He said, "No, he's busy with the parking situation." I said, "Yeah, it's about that." And he wouldn't step into his office, but he stepped aside and said, "Okay, what's up?" So I said, "First of all, is there a parking audit happening?" And he said, "Yes, there is." He said it's been happening since Memorial Day. I said, okay, was there any notice of this? We had some reports yesterday that people's key fobs were being turned off. He said there was no notice yesterday. There wasn't going to be notice today. But what really shocked me was that he said there wasn't ever going to be any notice. He said he was quite combative with it, which it seemed unusual for him, and said that we are not required to receive notice. We shouldn't expect it, and that he would not be giving it. Um, and the conversation kind of just went in circles from there. I had several other conversations I wanted to ask him, but he made it clear that he didn't intend to communicate what was happening. And I said, well, okay, what are people supposed to do in this situation or this situation? How are they supposed to know that that's what they should do without communication? And he just made it clear that he does not feel that we are entitled to communication on that front. Um, I said, what is happening? Like, what is the situation? And he said they're doing an audit. They have received a list of keys from the parking garage, and they're comparing it to their list. And if they don't match, they're being deleted. I said, what happened outside? What happens outside of office hours? Like if they can't come see you in the office. Um, and he pretty abruptly ended the meeting after that. He said, okay, we can't talk about this, and walked back over to the front desk. And that is all of the information that I was able to get out of him. I wasn't able to ask about, separate issues of technology with the fob where it's not connected to the audit. What are you supposed to do in that situation? I couldn't ask him. April had a question about if you tap in, but then the gates are open when you're trying to leave. If you're required to tap out, if it has to have a full circle. I didn't get a chance to ask about any of that. Very strange. So I'd like to go ahead and get some kind of information out to the members on that.
Right.
So I wanted to
I'm sorry. Go ahead, April. I'm sorry.
so I wanted to add, I don't know if you know, when I was having an issue, the garage attendant was telling me, because one time when I click on it, it didn't work, right? So he was telling me, listen.
Well, April, I'm sorry. It looks like you cut out for a second. Are you still there?
She's on mute.
She
You
muted.
you have to do a full circle, which means if you don't do a full circle, it doesn't work. So you can't just use in, or out. It has to be an in and out for it to work. And in the past, where I was telling Charlie, where I went in with the key fob, and then when I was going out, the gate was up.
So then
Yeah.
it wouldn't let you back in? April, you're on mute again.
Bear with me. Sorry. So that was it. So those are the questions I have with Charles. Sorry, Lex is calling. Someone has texted him the Zoom call.
I know. I'm sorry, Charles. I actually, so I used to work for Castle Systems. I know how that technology works. So I know in terms of turning the card, the fob on and off. I think that's handled through the office, and that's simply they have a list of fobs when they activate them for either garage access or building access or apartment access. They simply go through and program that in. So this is an easy fix if someone were to if someone's fob was deleted by or discontinued by accident. So I don't see what the issue is with the management company being so combative about that. I think that apparently what it seems is that there's several folks that have access to the garage that shouldn't have access to it. And if that case, like you said, but still, there still should be absolutely some kind of notice sent to the residents. I don't park there, so I don't know exactly how it works, but I do know that there is a system like the full circle system where that you should be that I think when you go in order for you to go out, you should tap it to go out, or else I don't think that it will let you back in because it'll still show that you're inside the system. So I don't know. I think there's a new system there as well. For when I first moved in, we had clickers. So we didn't have to actually use our fob. So that's just all I know about that system over there.
Yeah, it seems to me like we have two main questions that we're trying to address here. It's the question of what exactly is the policy with the fobs, right? What is an issue that the parking attendants have to deal with, and what is an issue that the building deals with? Does it have to be fully tapped through? Who should we go to in the event that it doesn't work? That's one question. And then the second question is, why is there not communication happening if there's an audit going on? If it's as simple as the management simply needs to turn it on and off, why is there not communication around that? Like there's currently a storage audit going on, and they
Right.
were clear. Here's the amount of time you have to tell us. Here's how you tell us. So why for a more sensitive thing, a more time sensitive, right? Trying to get your car in and out of the garage, would they have less communication on a very similar issue?
Correct. Hmm.
So really, I think on that front, on the communication front, we have two goals. It's update the membership, right? If they're not going to communicate, at the very least, we can be communicating and sharing information of what we have. And then also, how do we try to compel the office to communicate with us? Because this is not the first time people have raised communication issues.
Right, and not only the communication issue, but also we need to like April said, that we need to find some kind of go around. If in fact, or like you said earlier, if in fact it is after hours, and tenants can get in the parking garage, especially if they're paying for it. So that
Absolutely.
definitely needs to be addressed immediately.
Absolutely. So I think I will share any further details of that conversation with April. We'll make sure we got all of that down on paper. We'll get a rough draft put together and send that out to the officers. If it looks good, we'll update the members, and that covers that. Just an update on our last email with the new information from today, and then really the conversation I think turns to why aren't they communicating, and how do we encourage them to let us know what the hell's going on here?
Right. I think at that level, it doesn't seem that Dom is willing to do that. I think at that level, we need to talk to his boss, which is a regional director, a regional manager for the area. Um, because yeah, it doesn't seem that his response should not be that they're not required to communicate. That should not be a response. Of course, they're not required to, but as we represent the tenants, they should be, and they should want to.
Yeah.
So if we need to, yeah, I think that if he's unwilling to do that, we definitely need to get either his, the kind of company involved, the management company involved, and or the ownership.
Okay. Do we want to do either or both? Do we want to go to Graystar's boss, or do we want to go directly to ownership? Anybody want to talk about pros or cons there?
I have a quick question before you all proceed. With them being the managers of the building, why aren't they required to inform tenants of any happenings happening in the building?
Yeah, I think that's the question, right? Like they absolutely should be, and I cannot fathom why on this issue they would choose to be combative and refuse to communicate.
So let me understand this. They are obligated to inform tenants of anything that transpires in the building.
I would say so.
Yeah, I
I
would.
would
I mean, I
say
would agree. Yeah.
so. I would say, realistically, that's something they're obligated to do. That's something that we can reasonably expect. If there's an actual policy written down somewhere, that says that they must do that, I'm not familiar with it. What exactly outlines what they're required to communicate and when is unclear. But I think it's reasonable for us to expect that they would. But whether it's, the parking audit, whether it's the storage unit audit, or I think most importantly, and most recently, the health problems associated with the carbon monoxide, that also there was a lack of communication. So I think this question of why aren't they communicating and when should they, seems to be popping up a lot.
Where can we find what their obligations are? Is there something written where we can discover what they're obligated to do on their end in regards to managing the building?
So
We can ask that. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Charles.
no, I mean, I was about to say the same thing. We can and should ask them. I think probably policies would be in a number of different places. But if we simply say, like when they are using a policy, we want that policy. I imagine they would not refuse to give that to us.
Well, it seems that they're already
Absolutely.
refusing simple matters, so I don't think they're kind of
Yvette,
reliable
I'm
in
sorry. I'm sorry.
regards to giving you policies that they abide by.
Yvette, I'm sorry, do you mind muting yourself? We're hearing some background.
I'm trying to wait.
There we go.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I think we should ask them for whatever handbook or link to their policies, reasonably. I think that is generally advertised. And if for some reason they refuse to show us the policies that they're using, that is another one of those issues that we should immediately escalate, because there's no reason we should be living here with them following a set of policies that is blind to us.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So I wanted to I think the workaround, if it does happen, what has happened to me that Dom had told me, and this is just recently, like maybe a few months ago, what I was told, and I know when Cece was there and Daryl was there, if I have problem getting into garage, I usually just punch the ticket in, and then once I have the ticket, I go either at the concierge or management office if they're there, because they're there till 5 or 6. If they're there, just let them know. I was told that I can either get reimbursed or I shouldn't pay for it. But I don't think tenants should pay for it. I think the idea of just showing your key fob, you should be able to get out. But I don't know if we can say, because I don't know if we never got a management approval in that process. But that's what I was told when I had the issue. But I never had to pay it, because by the time I get out of the garage, it was fixed.
Yeah, so I spoke with the garage attendant yesterday, and then today I had the opportunity to speak to one of the residents who was recently struggling with this. The garage attendant said for yesterday only, because fobs were being turned off, and people were having this issue, but management hadn't communicated with us, they would let people out who came in with a ticket but had a fob. And that's what we communicated in the email. They said they would only do that till today when management was supposed to communicate with us, but management obviously still hasn't. So now what are those people supposed to do? Are they supposed to enter the garage and get a ticket? And then will they be let out, or are they going to be expected to pay? I mean, that's quite the hassle to be doing when you're sitting there with your car in front of the thing. People are lining up behind you.
Mhm.
I mean, there's
Especially,
no reason that people who are, people who should have to pay for that.
yeah, especially when you're paying, you're paying with it when you're rent, and it
Mm.
should be included. So that, yeah, absolutely.
And then I spoke to one of our members today who had his fob turned off. He said the builder or the attendants did let him out when he said, I got a ticket and the fob isn't working. But apparently both times he tried to do that, they gave him quite a bit of an attitude. So it seems like either your options are either pay it or get attitude from either the building or the parking garage. Neither of which is an inconvenience that residents should have to go through simply because of a lack of transparency from the building. Um, I mean, why they would handle it so poorly, I'd like to find out.
Yeah,
The when I Go
go
ahead.
ahead. It seems
When
to me what they're hoping is that they can kind of slip that underneath us. So if there is folks who are parking there who does not have access, that it wouldn't cause such an uproar. It seems to me that they're simply trying to slide it underneath, and that way it's essentially less work on their end. So instead of they're doing an audit, but they're doing it in a very archaic way, in the sense that if someone has a new fob, and that fob doesn't necessarily match the fob on file for access to the garage, and they're turning those fobs off. And of course, we know we lose fobs, and the fobs get deactivated. So there's there are so many reasons that that you could a resident could get a new fob that may not match the actual access, on their name. And so, yeah, I think that's a poor way of handling that.
Absolutely. So in terms of our response, do we want to go to the leasing, the property manager's immediate superior at Graystar, or do we want to do Douglas Development, or both?
I would say both. I mean, just because this is not a small thing. People are paying for that. And I would absolutely CC, our property management, but it seems that we have tried to talk with them. They're unwilling to communicate with us, and they've told us that. And I think that in our response to his direct supervisor, we need to make that blatantly known that, he's decided, that there will be no communication on this front from management office, and that doesn't work for us or our residents.
Absolutely. Not only did they not proactively communicate about it, they refused to engage directly when asked,
Yes.
which I think is an issue. So I don't have those emails at hand. Does anybody have those emails currently?
Yes, I do. Let me. I can put it in. I'll send it to all of us via
Yes,
email.
please. Yes, please. I'd like to have those emails in our Google Drive, so we all have them.
Okay.
Also, I
Yeah.
wanted to add on the email that I sent out, there were only two residents that responded. I think I forwarded to the officers both email that they were having issue with the key fob.
Yeah. So it's those two residents, and then I believe four others that hadn't replied. So we know of at least six so far.
Yeah.
I imagine there are more that we just haven't heard of yet.
Yeah. I
About
think they
10
mentioned
that
something,
I know
April,
about
yesterday.
10.
Yeah, I was about to say. I know that they mentioned something yesterday when we were downstairs. On the second level, some residents had mentioned that. I wasn't up on the text messages, so I didn't quite understand what they were talking about. But then now it all comes back. It's all coming back around.
So you're saying we know of at least 10 people?
Well, I know that.
I've talked to about 10, y'all. I'm going in and out of mute because I got my grandbaby and the dog, a whole lot going on. But I'm listening. About 10 people that I wrote, that I talked to.
Okay. So we can mention that we know of almost a dozen people that have been affected by this. And there's no reason that individually they should all be trying to navigate it, trying to figure out what they're expected to do. If it's as simple as having a conversation with the leasing office, then they should be told, hey, this isn't a technology bug. There's steps to be taken here.
Absolutely.
All right. So Howard, did you send out those emails?
I'm doing that right now. I'm sending it to everyone.
Awesome.
So yeah, this is his direct supervisor, Dom's direct supervisor. He's the regional director, regional manager for Graystar. And then let me get this. And then I think that the Douglas, what's his name? His son is actually, I think his son actually lives in a building, but I think he's our direct link to the management, to the owners. So him and his, I think, brother or something like that. I think they're the ones who actually does the kind of contracts and all of that stuff with the buildings.
All right. Well, why don't we do it like this? So it seems like we have two emails going right now. Why don't we get the follow-up email draft from April, and we can go ahead and review that. I will send out the draft of the email to those two people. We'll get that reviewed. And then we can just keep people updated, when we hear back from them. We'll get the minutes online, we'll get this meeting online, and we can add in the email that we sent to them, so people can see, this is what we sent to them, and this is what they replied.
So let me ask you, so are we sending a different email to his manager, to the regional director for Greystar, and we're sending a separate email to Hex ownership, or are we going to send an email and copy, like send an email to the regional manager and CC the ownership?
So the way I'm thinking about it is we send it to the ownership and his manager, and we CC him.
Gotcha. Yes. Okay. Yes.
So let me ask you a question. So you want to go straight to the ownership in addition to just going through the process of escalating it to Graystar?
Yeah, I mean, I think we should. I don't know. I kind of think that we should probably go to Graystar first before we go to the management, just
Yeah.
because it could be great. You know, his management can say, "What are you doing? You know, you need to communicate with these, you know, with the residents. You know, we need to be happy with them, or else they can get fired, of course." So, and then maybe if that doesn't work, then we go to management. I mean, we go to ownership.
Yeah, that's fine with me. So we want to do to Graystar and then to ownership if, you know, if we need to escalate it further.
Correct. I think we should, you know, just to be, I know, to stay in the process, we just go over the Graystar process of escalating it to the regional, whatever. And if we don't get any response with the Graystar, then we should escalate it to the ownership, because you don't want to keep adding ownership all the time. And then, you know, it's going to be like the boy who cried wolf, right? Then sooner or later, they're going to ignore us because we're giving them all the. So I think we should just escalate it to them if it's the last resort.
Sure, works for me. And then we can just, you know, I'll create a new spot on the website, and we can just, you know, add this information so people can see, you know, where the escalation currently is and, you know, any information that we get back from them.
Sounds good.
When we send it, so I guess we're going to send an email first to the management. I'm sorry, the management, and then we'll update the residents and say, listen, this is you know, this is what we're doing, and kind of forward them that email that we sent to management, and then kind of give them our updates as well. And okay.
Yeah, exactly. I'm thinking we draft the email to management and send that, and then, you know, while we're waiting for a response, we can follow up as promised with the membership and say, you know, here's a link to the email we just sent them. Here is a link to our conversation, our emergency meeting about it, and then, you know, here's like, you know, the follow up. Here's the update.
Yes, I think that's great.
Awesome. And then as soon as, you know, hopefully we'll hear back from the property manager's boss quickly, and we can get some transparency on this.
I think we should also, April, just when you're drafting the email, I think we should be very kind of very stern. I think this is not a situation where we need to, you know, kind of like, of course, you know, we want to be as professional as possible, but I think they need to know that we're serious about this. I mean, this obviously can't be happening, you know.
Right.
So yeah, I think that email needs to reflect that, and with some urgency, they need to respond.
And you know, any correspondence I'm sending out to the members, I'm usually just sending it to you all for review. You know, just respond back saying okay, or, you know, if it needs to be changed, just let me know what you guys want to change on the email, and this way, once I get approval from you all, then I can send it out.
Yeah. You know, I think a couple things to emphasize in the email is that, you know, we really want to say you can't do this without transparency. And when you're asked something, you need to like, you should be communicating preemptively, and when you're not, if you're asked about it, there's no reason that you should be dodging meetings, you know, trying to not answer the question.
Right. Right.
All right. I will, I gotta head out, but when I come back, I will get the minutes and then draft something in response for the members so you guys can take a look at it.
Awesome.
Gotcha.
And I'll go ahead and get that.
Sending this email over now for, his name is Alex Staffier, I think. He's over at Douglas. He's like their VP of operations.
Yes, Staffer.
Yeah, does he live in a building, Yvette?
No, but you know, they have an apartment. He's not here. But his email is the same. It has to go at that level, and they know what's going on. Alex was here the other day, and they were at the garage walking around before I even got, you know, noticed about the, you know, what was happening. people said it's been happening ever since the power shortage.
Okay.
I wasn't aware. I know the power shortage. I wasn't home, and people called me and said, "Oh, did your power go out? It was for a couple of hours, you know." And they said after that, their fob didn't work.
Okay.
Interesting.
All right.
I
Well,
mean,
this is on the way over to you guys now. So you guys have that information.
I mean, so that highlights a little bit what I was trying to say, where they're making it very difficult to separate technology issues from leasing issues. Is it an issue of the fob isn't working because something's going wrong with the fob, and you have to say, hey, can I get a new fob? You know, can you turn this back on or something? Or is it a leasing issue, you know, something you have to pay for, or some system error where the leasing office is dealing with it? We should know when it's which.
If I may respond, regardless if it was an issue that you pay, if you pay monthly, I think their tactic was, this is how I can catch the people that are not paying. But logically, the people that aren't paying, they don't park on the 6 and the 7, so they're never affected. You would never know who they are. I know about 15 people, but because it's not my business to say who they are, I'm glad they got an opportunity, but I'm not going to say who they are. But they don't park on the 6 and the 7, so they're not affected. The only reason why I park on the 6 or the 7 is because I'm paying, right? But still, technically, and I'm, you know, transparent, I'm on a payment plan, paying behind. They don't care. The other issue is not an issue of that. It is an issue where when Douglas decided, the owners, that he cannot rent his commercial spaces around here, like the Lane Clothes and all these different places that are available, he's going, I'm not putting no money into the building, which negatively affects us. But guess what? The management that they hire during their training process, they going, I don't care. I don't, excuse my language. They may not be saying it in this way. I don't give a fuck. If everybody move, I get new people. Then we'll fix everything. Then we'll get rid of the molded cushions on the second floor. Then we'll fix the oven. Then we'll fix the dog park. Then we'll get more security. Then we're going to do that. It doesn't work that way. They're not moving with empathy. They're not empathetic to the fact that how it inconveniences us. People, it's happened to me before. If I can't get out to the parking lot in my car right now, we can do a tour. It's loaded with catering equipment. Luckily, it's loaded with equipment that I have to unload as opposed to get ready to take it to an event, because I will be trapped. I would be at a loss. I would have to unload everything and pass it down to the floor. So basically, they don't care. 17 residents throughout the day. And I'm saying that because I took photos and people called me and text me, the people that I know. And eventually, I would make us have one text message thread. It's just people that's been here forever. They're like, I had to park on the loading dock to unload because I couldn't go on the 6th and 7th floor. Business owners, entrepreneurs. So the loading dock was full of cars. I didn't have my phone on me to take a picture. So basically, it's impacting the way that we live and move and do business. So I think that
So
if
just
people signatures or emails in today's world, you could say I have 200 emails or 100, or old school ways, you can have people sign the list, you know?
Yeah, I mean, exactly. We want to keep track of it, and you know, we want a clear process. Are we supposed to be getting tickets in the meantime? You know, are we supposed to come see you? What are the expectations, and why is it happening? So that I'm not sitting there with a line forming behind me, you know, having all these different inconveniences. So we're gonna go ahead and get those emails out. We'll keep the membership updated. It'll all be available on the website. And hopefully we get some clarity soon so we don't have those issues that Yvette was talking about.
Gotcha. Sounds good.
Awesome.
All right.
Well, I
All right,
appreciate
guys, have a great evening.
at the last moment here. I appreciate you taking time out of your day for this meeting. As soon as we know more, we will reconnect. I'll send out that draft that we're sending. And April, if you can send over the draft for the membership in the minutes.
You got it. All right. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks so
guys.
much.